A day to go for the ISC Class 12 English Language and then the English Literature examination. With me is Amrita Chandra ma'am to tell us exactly what should our last minute approach be before the English language and literature paper. Let's talk about language first. Let's assume that my writing skills are not very great. What's the kind of essay I should attempt if I have not practiced writing the whole year?
Okay. I would always choose a descriptive essay.
Really?
Despite the fact that you're looking at great vocabulary, if you're writing a descriptive essay, because the leads are given in the composition. Describe a place that is peaceful and rewarding. Even if you've not understood rewarding very well and you understood peaceful, you fall back on your five senses. You know what you can see in a peaceful place. You know what you feel. You know what the sounds that you can hear, the gentle chirping of birds or twittering of birds, or you want to talk about the gentle flow of water, even if you don't know gurgling, you will still be able to write more than if you attempt the one-word essay, which people call the definition essay. Yeah. I'll tell you what happens in essays like that. Agreed, you can narrate, you can describe, you can do a mix and match of both. But what happens is, when they give you a word like solitude, and you confuse it with loneliness or feeling lonely or alone, you messed up the whole thing. Also, if you say house, attempt it because it's a structure. But if I say home, then you have to go into the metaphor of the definition essay. Right. So it has to be seen as a place where I lick my wounds, where I go for shelter, where I go for protection, where it's my domain expertise. A whole lot of metaphorical nuances have to be brought in. So that way, I find the descriptive and the narrative easier. Okay. Reflective, which they are now asking increasingly, I find it difficult because I'll tell you why. It has to be a data representation. It has to be the overview, has to be very statistical. You have to bring to the table a solution and you have to bring to the table an impact and possible execution. So the kind of components that reflective essays use, I find it's always safer to go in for narrative, descriptive, or if you're very good, not with particularly language ability, but quick thinking. You have a plot, you have 2-3 characters, 2-3 dialogues, a setting and a context, original story.
And argumentative if you know the content. Yeah.
If you're an avid reader, you read, you can bring that to the table, argumentative. Though it's not about the scoring. They're all equally scoring. It's about my comfort zone.
But to write 400 to 450 words, even in a descriptive essay, would that be possible?
See, because it is always like you're stuck in a traffic jam. What do you describe? The sights, the sounds, the moods. Unlike the other compositions, they're giving you the lead. Okay. So you need to use less time to think of the leads. So there I find a comfort zone. Right. So the child immediately knows one paragraph of what I see, one paragraph of what I hear, one paragraph of how I feel. That lead facility is what makes descriptive easy.
Okay, fair point.
Right?
When we come to the next one, the directed writing and the proposal, this is basically about format, following the format. Right?
Correct.
So you get the format, at least you are in a safe zone.
Extremely safe zone. Don't worry about all caps for a title. Actually, we are moving away from the all caps thing because it's like a slap in the face. Exactly. So by a special journalist or by whatever, your own name, anything. If you stick to the format, out of 15, you're looking at a close 13 at least.
Okay. And this film review, the common query is that, can they write about any movie, any language movie? Will that be accepted?
It is. See, unless they ask for a historical genre, or nobody's even becoming that challenging nowadays. So they ask you a safe zone, they ask you to write a film review. But if you're doing a Hindi film, let's say, if you're doing Lagan, always put in brackets to say tax.
Okay, give
that. I'm not looking at it subtitle, not Og, the fire, Jal, the trap. I'm not looking at that, Sudhir. But what I'm looking at is that you put it in a way that you're catering to a wider audience.
It doesn't have to be a recent movie. It could be as old as Lagan.
As a black and white film, if that's what has left an impact on you, and it's meeting the guidelines.
So this is something which you can go prepared with.
Yes, yes. And you follow the guidelines, not necessarily in that order, but in a coherency. Yeah. You can't be talking about, let's say reviews is written as a pointer. You can't be talking of reviews first and then talking about the plot of the film. You follow sequentially a
Correct.
particular
Order.
coherency
Yeah.
when you're doing that. It's about format and coherency, nothing more.
Grammar. Phrasal verbs, obviously, even we get confused sometimes. So how do they prepare? Because ISC phrasal verbs, the toughness quotient is much more than at the ICSC level.
Correct.
How do they prepare for it at the last minute?
See, I don't know whether this should be said, but I'll say it nevertheless, that last 10 papers are the safest for this. Don't go by the solved papers. Don't look at the answers that the publications are giving you. But do look at the questions and talk to teachers of English to correct it if you have a query. Their answers are all wrong, and I'm sorry about this. Whatever the publications, their answers are wrong.
Yeah.
But the last 10 years has a pattern, and I've also seen that may not be the same sentence ever, but there is a repetitive quotient in the kind of phrasal verbs that are tested.
Right. Right.
And even in the structures for that matter. If I say Mahendra Singh Dhoni is a great wicketkeeper batsman and an outstanding captain, used besides, the answer there will show, besides being a great wicketkeeper batsman, he is also an outstanding captain. That answer could be wrong, but the structure remains the same. Don't use also with besides.
Yeah.
Or they should go back to their teachers of English.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So that's as far as the thing. Comprehension, exactly 100 words. It cannot be 99 or 101.
No longer the use of the grid, but a connected paragraph has to be written.
So the grid does not have to be made in class 12?
No, you don't have to. Don't waste time if you don't want to.
So you can
It's always good because you know exactly instead of sitting and counting each word.
Okay.
Yes, but even if you cannot, you're running short of time, write it in a connected passage.
But you do a rough grid first and then a rough summary first and then you
Yes,
do,
and if you can show the working there, there's nothing like it. It's very appealing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's as far as the language is concerned. Let's come to the literature now. The MCQs, now you have the analysis, understanding, application and recall. So it's kind of getting a bit of a slightly complicated. How do they, so when they are reading The Tempest, when they are reading any of the stories and poems and Echoes and Reverie, how do they kind of look at it? See, from an MCQ point of view?
See, what I tell my children is, whenever you're reading, is this worthy of making into a question? So the only way to study Tempest for MCQ point, from an MCQ point of view, is to make their own questions
or a reasoning point to question.
And from that point of view, see, nobody is going to ask me who said this and
where did he say it.
So what are they going to ask me? They're going to ask me why did he say it? So you look at the why of the question, don't the who, where, when bit you forget for the time being. So prepare for it like that. And then how often, because they're saying higher order thinking skills, can be related to a theme. Right? If I take a Prospero's Soliloquy or whatever for that matter, and what is the theme that it substantiates and validates? So what are the questions that I can ask from there? And what kind of a genre is it? Let us say, if it is it Bildungsroman, they are using these new genre words which they never used to use before. So they're definitely testing technique and style. So from this point of view, that's how the text should be studied.
Okay. And now that they have introduced this word limit, that means that they need to stick to that 150 words and 250 words in a 5-mark and 10-mark question.
See, if you write more, you're going to compromise somewhere else. 10 words this way, that way. 410, 420. 390 is fine. 2 less means you don't have enough ideas.
No, in case of the subjective answer.
Even in case of a subjective answer. The same logic here also. If you go on and on and on writing what you know, the chances are that you're going to miss out on something because it's being timed to perfection. So they have to be very careful to stick to the word limit.
So stick to the word limit which has been.
And gone are the days when examiners have patience with extra questions. So do not. The legend is now clearly saying, do not attempt extra questions. That's the rubric is saying it now. Whereas once upon a time, it was, even now it's pupil friendly that everybody corrects everything. But there is a kind of
essence of reluctance.
Essence of reluctance because you're correcting so many. And that's why the legend has come in now where they're writing, do not attempt extra questions. So don't attempt extra questions. Devote your energy and time to the few you know very well.
Finally, the keyword problem, always, how do we identify the keywords? See,
this is not an MA language paper or a literature paper. They are looking for substantiation from the text. If you're honest to the text, that's your keyword. Now, instead, and you're safe. If in the words, let us say, Miranda soulfully sings a song and you write soulfully, it's easy
for the examiner also to say.
And the
okay,
child also.
Yeah.
Instead of my using melodiously, a half an hour discussion in the evaluation room should melodiously be considered as a synonym of soulfully. Why open up these kind of and stir up a hornet's nest is all that we are looking at, Sudhir. Otherwise, it should be fine. But keywords are also very, very, they're sorted out in a pupil-friendly fashion. This/this/this/this/this is what is considered
as a keyword.
So it's a keyword. So let's not stress them out too much with a keyword concept, but the word closest in meaning carries a lot of weight.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you as usual,
very
Sudhir.
much.
I'm so sorry we couldn't do much today, but then we really
Thank you
got
so
up.
much for your time.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to talk to you.